now is the alpha stage. Um, I know that I'm gonna make some deep cuts. So it's been a few days, and this is a slow process, and that's good because it's kind of intense, But yesterday I kind of had a heavy day. I felt depressed, and I was trying to figure out the reasons, and I always remember this piece of advice I got, which is that if you go to sleep and wake up, you'll probably feel better, and that's the case. I do feel better now, and I was watching a YouTube channel about minimalism, and now YouTube has dubbing. I'll put a link below of this channel I was watching, but he was really speaking to me and giving me a lot of new ideas. And I was also watching also dubbed Italian YouTuber that was talking about giving a tarot reading that meant that I was going to leave soon. It said, pack your bags and leave. And I am going to leave soon. And I had a memory because a lot of times Japanese minimalists talk about earthquakes. And I remembered how I got to this point, like I said earlier, like, oh, neurodivergence, yada yada, but I think there are three main incidents in my life that really got me to a point where I'm figuring out how to fit this in a bag. And not how to fit this in a bag, but what to fit in the bag. The first one was the March 11th, 2011, the Fukushima nuclear meltdown, tsunami, and earthquake, all related natural disasters. And at that time, when it happened, I was teaching a class in Tokyo, and that's a whole story, but sorry about the background noise. But so I experienced the Fukushima, the shaking of the earthquake from the 6th floor in Shinjuku, and I didn't go home that night because the trains weren't working. I stayed with a friend. And I'm grateful for Slavic. Thank you, Slavic. But the second incident was when I lived in Tokyo for a year, from 2011 to 2010, 2011. I had a partner, and we at that point had been together a few years. And we moved soon after that. We moved back to the United States, and we had great life. We had dogs, and And finally we grew apart and we broke up. And at that time I was living with in their one of their family homes, just me, him, and sometimes his dad. And before I we went to therapy once, and that was a really interesting day in my life. Just a local older gentleman, and I found him, and we went just for one session. And around that time, I wasn't pursuing minimalism at all. In fact, I was increasing my collection of curated items, and some really cool stuff, of course. Um, and he and I were both in that mode where we were sort of filling this house with cool stuff. Some of it we weren't even buying. It was just stuff that was handed down from grandparents, or um, like glassware or books from college. We put in the library shelves, and poster collection. I had a vanity made of wicker that my grandmother always used to wash my face when I was in Alabama. And she would, instead of brushing her teeth, she would use a toothpick and just use it all day and just kind of like clean her teeth with a toothpick at that wicker vanity. Or maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so a lot of stuff in collections, and because we had lived in LA and Austin, Texas, and New York and Tokyo, and so of course, we had, one day I was walking down the street in Tokyo, and I found these old roadshow American, like Japanese 60s, 70s, Sylvester Stallone, Jodie Foster when they were like really young, and really cool, like vintage magazines they were selling for, pennies. And so we got that, and, framed some of them, put them up, kept the best ones. And so, yeah, like I had collections, but when we, when I started to get my stuff together, and it wasn't because I thought we were going to break up, because I actually was surprised when we ended up breaking up. Like it did surprise me. But what had happened before that is I had quit my job. So it's kind of like I started it and I instigated it, or I got the process going of this divide, this separation from not just from me and my partner, but me and my that life. So we both had a, you know, so anyway, I had been in that basement putting my stuff in bins, like separating out what was mine. And when the time came for that, he told me, I actually asked him, do you want to break up? And then, like, a couple weeks later, I think, he said, I want to break up. And then, but that actually really surprised me. But intuitively, I had this feeling like, oh, I'm about to go. And this right here is that same feeling. It's that same thinking process where I'm like, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going. Pack your bags, even though you don't have a ticket, right? So I had all these bins, and I got my grandmother's vanity, and my dad showed up 2 days later. I was just like, all right, I'm leaving 2 days. So I took 2 or 3 days, I think, and um, packed up all my stuff. My dad came out on a road trip across the country, and he had an SUV. But when he got there, I had so much stuff that basically I lost my train of thought. I had so much stuff that we had to get a trailer. So we went and rented a trailer, and at that moment I was like, whoa, like to rent a trailer, you know? I didn't think it was going to be that much, but it was. Ultimately, it was. I said goodbye to the dogs and left them behind and had a tearful drive for a while. And then when I got to Kansas at the time, my parents' house, I was going through their basement and I was finding all my stuff that I had left, and also just all the stuff in the basement, like what of it is am I responsible for, or what of it is worth keeping, kind of like taking photos of photos, scanning photos, and getting rid of my stuff. And there were countless bags. I had a shredder, I had a paper shredder, and there were countless bags of shredded, like shredded papers, like assignments from high school or whatever. And I scanned a lot of it. And then I moved to Japan. And I moved to Japan with, I remember I weighed myself and then I weighed the luggage, but I was 222 pounds. I remember that number, seeing it on the scale, and I've been seeing the number 222 quite a bit recently, or 444. So those synchronicities, at that time I was really going through a spiritual time in my life where I was reading books by Ram Dass and Eckhart Tolle, and learning from spiritual thinkers, and that was kind of the peak of minimalism, I think, on YouTube. I think it's having a resurgence now because I'm really heavy into YouTube. Like, I watch a lot of YouTube. In Japan, I didn't own a TV. So, and during coronavirus, I mean, God, I just watched so much YouTube. But yeah, when I moved to Japan, I had two large luggages that I pulled. Everybody does the same thing on on the jet program. You just like get two maximum luggages and then like a backpack or something. I think I had something like that. And I moved into a apartment full of stuff, absolutely full of stuff. And over time, I ended up staying there for 3 years in that apartment, and I was getting rid of stuff. It was kind of like a hobby because there's just this continuation of the purging process that I had in my parents' basement, which I completed. And now, actually, most of those things in the basement, through sort of um, I guess a scam or a terrible moving company, they just, like, a lot of it was lost. Most of it was lost. And so really none of that stuff exists at all. Except we've got my alien toy with the shirt that I was wearing when I was brought home from the hospital. Turns out, when I was born, I didn't cry, which I always thought was an interesting story, interesting way to come into the world. Just like, so I was getting rid of all that stuff from all those previous teachers who had lived in this apartment. And, you know, I was really going above and beyond. Like, I was donating the books because, you know, I was like, oh, I'm not going to read these books. And then the desk at work was just full of all kinds of stuff from over the years, and I was getting rid of that. I did the minimalist game on the desk where I was just like, I'm going to get rid of, it was like 465 things in a month. And I ended up doing it and did more, even more. And they had a shredder at the workplace, an industrial shredder. And so anytime I got rid of a piece of paper, I would shred it. And it was satisfying for me. I liked that, you know. I even shred like collages I had done and stuff. And so, and even paper that was made of green tea, for example, you know. So it wasn't just like, it was precious to non-precious, all the full gamut, the full spectrum. But then, one day I was at the grocery store in summer, and I had bought a bunch of cabbage because I was really into keto at the time, which I think was a sort of a once in a lifetime thing for me that really reset my certain parts of my health. It really helped me. And I might go back to that. It's always something, it's like a modality I can use. But I was eating, you know, bought a bunch of cabbage, and I was gonna make a cabbage salad, and I bought all these like onions and stuff like that. And I got back from the grocery store, and my neighbor, who was this older gentleman, he always talked to me, and we'd talk about politics a little bit in Japanese, but as far as I could. Like, Biden, wow, oh, you know. But he was looking at my apartment, and he said, "Abunai," which means dangerous. And I saw that the supports, it was the second floor, and there was a walkway to enter. And it was like, if this is the second floor, there's a walkway up, and there were stanchions or like columns. And I think it was 2 of those columns had collapsed that were supposed to support, and it was built in the 60s. I could tell by the molding on the electricity unit or whatever. It's 1962 or something. So I didn't sleep there that night. Again, you know, it's like I was moved. And they put up some support structures, but then I found a new apartment, and that apartment was completely empty. And I took some of the furniture, like the fridge and the I took shelving. I used the shelving, which I regretted because it was expensive to get rid of, and, you know, ultimately I didn't really need shelving. I took the mattress, and that's what I slept on, which I also regretted, because I could have just gotten like a cheapo futon and slept on that. But in Japan, it's really expensive to get rid of stuff, especially like bulk items, bulk furniture. And I didn't really have the tools or know-how to like buy the sticker and put it on there, because I wasn't sure, you know. I had to be sure that if I put it down in that trash area, it would be removed. Um, and also, I could barely move it myself because I would have to take the mattress down and upstairs, and so I had to pay to have it moved. Anyway, and I just didn't have like a close friend at that time that I was willing to ask for that kind of thing. And it's just kind of different in Japan, especially for a foreign man who's living alone. You know, it's just like, just deal with your shit. So deal with your stuff. So, and then 2 years later, it was brought to my attention that I wouldn't be able to pass on any of the fridge, any of the stuff to the next guy who was coming in, but he was going to be moving into the same building as me, 2 floors up. So, certain things like useful cookware, things like that, I just put in the garbage room, and I said, hey, you're moving in a few hours after I leave. If you want to grab these things from a plastic, they're just in there. So they'll be disposed of. But it took so much time and energy and effort it was like an ongoing year. And I think these three things, the earthquake, which then I moved out of Japan after that, the apartment structure collapsing, and also the moving out of Japan and not being able to give anything away. And at that time, I guess I had a backpack and 2 bags. And then I move in here, and this is I want to think of this as the last declutter, because some of this stuff is not mine anymore. And a lot of things have been given to me, like, this I've been wearing every day, and I will probably keep it, but that was given to me, and a lot of these clothes were given to me. And so it's not really mine. I want to do Swedish death cleaning now, and I want everything that exists in this world that is associated with me to be truly in one bag that I can carry comfortably. And so this backpack here I think it's 30 liters, but that's the container, that's the limit of what I've put, that's the constraint of what I'm going to take. And so, to some extent, this bag is going to be the hardest to deal with, because this has sentimental items. And I could leave this bag behind. It's not too full. I tried to sell it for a minute, but I didn't leave it up long enough. So I think for the moment, I want to just take out, this is a laptop I rarely use. These are precious item books that I've created myself. I mean, this is a photo book I did, and this is a book called Deep into Texas that was a book I wrote and illustrated in second grade. And it's awesome. It's really funny. And it's signed by Robert Quackenbush in 1992. And I got to meet him and he told me, "Oh, you're the one who wrote this book?" Like, that was such a powerful moment in my life when I realized, like, oh wow, like that thing I did has power. Here's a picture of me in the Civil War unit in 1994 after I had created this book, which is called The Old Man Wrinkled Toes' Life, the shortened version during the Civil War period. Which has profanities in it. I have 2 hard drives which have the same data on them. They're 2 backups. I have a card from my friend in Japan and her daughter. This is the certificate of authenticity for this bag, which has a built-in shoulder strap, which is not long enough for me. So this is a adapter I can use for all of my devices. It's USB. I guess that's it. I heard recently that there's something called the Blue Door or something like that nearish to where I live, and it's a charity shop. So just for this particular moment, this second right now, I'm just going to put this aside. And I'm going to put it in the area where I'm putting stuff that I'm considering letting go of. Because I can't physically carry this along with the backpack. And then I've got right now I'm using this as my gym bag. I could carry this with my gym bag. I've done that before and it was comfortable, but so this could be a good option for me for taking with me as a 2-bag life for the moment. Or I could fold this up and put it in the backpack and then use it as a sort of my like daily bag. But for now I'm gonna put this aside, which has been with me since, I don't know, Japan like 2011. So it's a great bag. If anybody wants this bag, let me know. I'll send it to you. I gave it away for a while and then took it back when I needed it, but so also I did a phone interview yesterday wearing this shirt and it was too small. I mean, let me try it again. At this angle I look good, but that's why I chose this angle. There's not looseness to it. I guess I like looseness. I'm gonna keep this for now. I was this close to getting rid of this right now. But you know what I will really reconsider? Is this blazer right here. I mean, it's hard to even remove it from a hanger. You don't want to do that, you just want to leave it like this, but I think this is a little too small for me. It's a little too constrictive, so what I'm going to do is fold it very gently and just put it gently on top of my little pile that's forming here. Okay, this shirt I wore. I think this shirt is cool. I think this is cool. But it feels a little uncomfortable to wear. But I'm not ready to get rid of that yet. I just bought these new sweatpants at Target because winter is here and I've already been wearing them all the time. These are good shorts. These are probably the last shorts I'm going to get rid of because I see myself going to a warmer climate this winter. I've got little ideas happening here. Okay, so I'm starting to think about these books, and I would be willing to carry this with me everywhere I go. If I'm at a point where this is so sentimental that I'd be willing to carry it with me. I mean, it's tiny. And this is sentimental to me. So, why not keep it with me? I mean, this could be the representative sentimental item for all my sentimental items. This one, this book, this one, This is an ebook that you can download on Apple Books. So, really it's not important that I have this book. But, I could. This has some spicy elements to it, so I think I could leave. Not sure about this. Okay. But this, I'd be willing to carry with me. So for the moment, I'm going to put this with my documents. Now I have 2 birthday cards I just got for my birthday, which was 2 days ago. And these are good. These are good. They're made in the USA. I'm not going to keep these forever. But they're fun to display while I'm here because they were given to me by my mom and dad who live here. So I'm going to just display these for now. And that doesn't upset me. For my birthday, I also got a AeroPress Go. Which I've washed and wrapped in this. And so what this is a cup for coffee. It's like a mobile coffee maker. and it's all the tools and everything are contained in this, but it doesn't have a grinder, which isn't a big deal, but I thought it did. So I have all this like organic. I bought myself organic coffee for my birthday. That's whole beans. So now I need to like figure out a grinding situation, but maybe I can just go to a grocery store grinder, or maybe I can buy just like a little grinder, borrow one from a neighbor even or something. But it seems like this could be a thing. Like this could save me money. It could save a lot of plastic, because a lot of countries they'll give you a plastic cup, but because I like to get to go coffee, So I asked for that for my birthday. It was offered to me, and then later on I reminded him and asked my brother to buy it for me. So I think that could make it. Now the t-shirt situation is complicated. I mean, it's like a cliche. I didn't even try to have black t-shirts, but I have black t-shirts now because it was requirement to have black t-shirts under your uniform at this seasonal job I took. And I mean, I'm not like super excited about these black t-shirts, but they're pretty comfortable. They're brand new. So at some point, what I'm realizing is that I'm going to have to start putting stuff in the bag as trial runs. And then I'll have an outfit that I wear on the plane. I'll have what fits in the bag. And that's everything else I'm going to have to figure out somewhere to do with, because I'm not going to leave a bunch of stuff in this closet. So it's got to come with me. So this is not going to come with me, but that's sort of like a communal sentimental item. So I'm considering just leaving it in the closet because I think it's kind of funny and cute. So that's where I'm at. Thank you for following along with me on this rant here. I think I'll just end this for now and pick back up when I'm ready to move on to the next thing. It's a lot. I mean, this is not a lot of stuff, but now we're getting down to, well, okay, here's another thing that's going on. Yeah, I told you there's an interview. Well, it said at the end of the interview, it was a video interview where I recorded myself, and honestly, I gave the absolute peak interview I think I can possibly give. It really freed me up to just have it be videoed. I just videotaped myself answering questions with a time limit, and I just took the first take each time of like 5 questions. And that's a local job here that might pay well, but if I don't hear from them in a week, and I'll give them a week, then I'm going to start looking at buying tickets to move. So I was just kind of struggling yesterday, and I felt like, you know what, like, it's not about, like, I used to say, like, I need to light a fire under my ass, but it's not really that. But there is an energy that comes from living by yourself, and not not waiting to be forced. Like when I was forced to do it when I was in those situations, like the earthquake, like the apartment structure falling apart, and they demolished it, so it's gone, it's minimized. And then, when I moved out of Japan and I couldn't give anyone anything, basically I was kind of forced into it. But this time's different because this time's a choice. And so this is really the peak challenge. Fumio Sasaki, the author of Goodbye Things, he said in an interview, there's not too many interviews of him in English, or they're translated, but he said in an interview that he kind of misses the time when he was decluttering, when he was getting rid of stuff, because it was very energizing. And that's what this, I've experienced that too, but this now is the alpha stage. This is the I know that I'm gonna make some deep cuts because I don't want to leave things behind. And if I have to put all this stuff in the trash, I'll do that at this point, because I've been very mindful about the stuff I've been getting rid of, and all the parts of my life that have led me to this point. Now I have a chance to go all the way, to basically almost become like, who's that Greek philosopher who lived in a barrel? Diophanes or something? Or my memory's going. It's scary. It's scary to like be turning 40 and just like, I used to be able to remember anything. Like, I would just finish people's sentences, and I still do that, but I can't finish my own sentences now. So I was kind of working on my notebook here, and this is very functional. Oh, it's kind of messed up. This is very functional for me now. This notebook. So I've got some papers, my most prized papers. I've got an empty notebook of extra thin paper, which I got in Portland when I was there. I've got some AI, I did a collaboration with AI for a month. I just paid for it for a month and then stopped using it. And I have print-offs of those the results of those collaborations. And then I have some, like a kind of a calendar situation. This is kind of cute, look. So for now, this is very consolidated. I mean, if I think about all the papers that I have had in my life, and now we're down to basically this, and half of them are empty pages. This is like peak, traveler's notebook, because there's almost nothing in here that I would immediately just be like, oh yeah, give it away or let it go. So, and this holds stuff too. Like, I used this string to repair my iPad case, which turned out great. I love the way it looks.
Is it kintsugi?
I can put this string in this notebook. It's gonna be like a storage for my notebook. And I like this string. It's linen, hand-dyed linen thread.
That's cool.
Salt Lake City, Utah. Kinglet Cottage Designs. Cool. This is nice. 5 yards of linen thread. I like that. Because I found that sewing is often a useful way to repair things. I've got like $2 bills. I've got like paper made from oranges, from green onion, from grape, food scraps. I've got green tea paper with collages on it. I've got photography. I've got these are my sort of lists of ideas, in quantum moments, if you will, in my life. I've written down long lists of ideas. But for now, this is quite nice. And I like this gold washi tape that I got, because I like the way it looks. It's very cool looking, I think. And it's kintsugi, like I used it. And then I used it to repair my iPad case, and then I sewed through it with the thread. And I love this. I think it's very good for the notebook too. So it's also what I use to adhere these metal tabs I bought recently, which I like. So I feel good about this. And there, in the backpack, there's a zipper, like a zipper pouch that holds this very well. So this is something that I would consider taking. Now, another thing that I've been on is toe socks, and wearing toe socks, those ones that have your toes, and then wearing them with these sandals. It's like a zero shoe for me, because my feet are completely flat, and these shoes are completely flat, basically. I did wash these quite a few times recently. So I like that combination, and right now I use a treadmill to get my walking in, but when I move to a city, I'm going to be wanting to use I'm just going to be wanting to walk around the city. I want a walkable place, walk down the beach. I want to walk to get my groceries. I want to walk around and just for exercise and mental clarity and health. I love walking. And that's why Japan was so great for me, because I lived within a train ride of Kyoto, for about 6 years. 1 year when I was out of college, and then 5 years most recently. And I took the train into Kyoto, walked around. It's so beautiful, so amazing. And I'm just on a weekend by myself, and I keep hearing like videos and people like, oh, you can go to a restaurant by yourself, do it, it's next level, it's cool, it's fun. Ohitori sama, which is like table for one in Japanese, kind of. That's like a trend in like ramen restaurants that have like a cubicle, and you just get to eat by yourself and not have to talk to anyone. I've been on that too, and Japan has really influenced me in that way. So by myself all the time, like, because I'm sensitive. I'm a sensitive person, if you can't tell. I'm sensitive to energies. I'm sensitive to sounds, feelings. I've always had like really sensitive like nipples, like not TMI, like just like I can't wear like polyester so much on my skin. It has to be like pure cotton, or else it's just not gonna work. So I remember when I was a kid, like I would just be like, oh my god, this shirt, like I worked at like this, I worked at a go-kart sort of like diversion world called Sports World, where they had like arcade, putt-putt golf and go-karts. I helped with the go-karts for a while, and I was just wearing the uniform shirt without an undershirt, and it just like, I was just like breaking out in hives. It was just like, oh my god. So the sensitivity factor is a big factor in all of this, because okay, I'm still going here. Clutterbug, which is another YouTuber, um, great. She has the 4 bugs, the 4 types of people and how they organize their stuff or their clutter in most cases. And I'm the B. I think it's the B, where everything I have has to be visible. Like, this is all visible storage. This was made before I came, but it's visible storage. So everything I have has to be out there. If this were my room, I would remove these doors to the closet permanently. But it's not my room. So, because I want to have everything visible. So, if everything's visible, then I can see it all. And this right here, actually, it's not a lot, but it stresses me out. I want more simplicity. And at this point, the only way to get there is I'm gonna have to make some deep cuts, big choices. Like, I'm looking at my prescription scuba gear goggles. I mean, it might make it. You know what? Maybe I could hang those on the outside of the bag. I might do that. Okay. Alright, I'll let you go for now. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Here we go. We're making deep.